Thank you for joining. Thank you, fellow Amazonians. This is a special show. Please don't always forget to share. This is a special show. I want you to know that we are moving forward. Okay, we are moving forward no matter what. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. And hit the share button. Ladies and gentlemen.
You should not be progressing on someone's sweat. Why she or he will stay behind weeping? Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This is your show. This is your boy Fritz Missoni. The state of our revolution is strong because we are seeing progress. We are seeing how the international community is putting pressure on La République du Cameroon. We have seen the La République du Cameroon is trying to look for means to settle the dispute. That is to tell you that they want to come out of this nonsense war that they Biya declared on the people of Southern Cameroon and Bazonia. So we are seeing a 7th year of crisis that has been imposed by the people of La République du Cameroon, and we are saying that the people of Ambazonia are ready for this crisis, even in the next 30 years. So La République has the obligation to cease any fire that they started. Whether they put kerosene, whether they put petrol on that fire, they are the one to cease fire. You cannot declare war on the people and you ask that those people to cease fire. How can that happen? Where have you seen that happen? That someone who declare war, you want that person to cease fire, then you are not going to cease fire. How? So we are saying this because I want to first use this opportunity to tell La République, our people are suffering in jail. You have killed our people. You have maimed our people. You have destroyed the lives of so many Ambazonians. There is no future for our people in that union. You force our people against their will, against their wish, to live with you. I mean, how can you describe this if not of modern day slavery? If not of black on black slavery? We should understand that this crisis is an imperialist crisis. This crisis is a crisis of one country trying to dominate another country. It's an imperialist policy, and this should be condemned with all types of manner. Any country supporting La République should be ashamed of themselves. We cannot be in a country and they are supporting a tyrant, a 40-year dictator, someone who has destroyed the life of all Southern Cameroonians. The Southern Cameroonians that were starting this struggle back in the days of the NCNC, back in the days of AAC 1, AAC 2, some have been killed, some have been exiled. We have our people still languishing in jail. We have our people still languishing in refugee camps. Thousands of our people are jobless. thousands of people are still living a life of begging. Then we have some few gullibles still supporting this type of regime. I want to say this. Our brother Abdul Karim is one of those heroes languishing in jail for no crime. No crime. And the rugged policy of La Republic, that policy where you try civilians in military court. Where have you seen that in the world, where a military tribunal is trying civilians? War crimes for innocent civilians who are political prisoners. They are being jailed for their political opinion. That's their crime. The Naira 10s, the Manchu BBC, the parents, and all the other guys who are languishing in jail as we speak, just for their opinion, political opinion. Those are the heroes we are talking about. We listened to the end of year speech of the dictator. He was trying to dodge away from the reality. But when we saw his speech, compared it to what he said to the diplomat, there was a lot of controversy, and people were talking of a U-turn, because in his end of year speech he mentioned nothing. Okay, but we have seen a lot of newspapers saying this dialogue or negotiation is key to ending the conflict. Yes, he said that, but during the end of year dinner where diplomats are present, right? That's where he said that. But a lot of people are still saying that he never mentioned that negotiation was between La Republique and Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia, that he was talking about the Ukraine crisis. So we have to understand the secrecy behind these talks. Okay, there is much at stake that we have to look at when it comes to negotiation. We understand negotiations will not be the same. Some of us are trying to compare some other negotiation process that happened in some other countries, some other negotiation that was mediated by some other parties. Yes, but we know that the nature of La Republique is trying to weigh as if they are winning the war. That is how La Republique is seeing it. Okay, they are trying to see how they are winning. That is why they can still arrest people like Abdul Karim and keep there. We heard that even Abdul Karim's brother or Abdul Karim's wife has also been arrested. But this inhumane treatment is a sign that no Southern Cameroonian Ambazonia is still free from arrest from the hands of La Republique, because they are still not yet ready to release anyone. When you see someone who is ready to send olive branch, right, as they were trying to say, you will know that. Do you think President Biya is ready to do that? I'll bring up our brother Tapang, who says there is no negotiation and there will be no negotiation. But let's listen to his opinion. I know everybody has their opinion. This is we are all Ambazonians. Please listen to Tapang Ivo, and I will come back to the.
Yeah, fellow Ambazonians, greetings to you all. Let me make a point clear about the Cameroon so-called so-called Ambazonia talks going on in Canada. First, there is no talk. Second, there is no talk. And third, there will never be a talk. Why do I say so? I've listened to audio messages made by Capo Daniel of the AGOVC. I've also listened and read a couple of statements made by him by the AGOVC, stating that there are talks going on in Canada. Ambazonians, don't be so gullible and don't be so fooled, don't be so foolish to be cowed by Paul Biya's tactics and the nasty intrigues, the political intrigues by some Ambazonians who want to stay relevant. Let me explain. Paul Biya is not ready for talks, and he will not be ready for talks anytime soon in the next 2, 3, 4 years, maybe in the next 7, 8 years when he's dead. He will not be ready for talks. He knows he is winning. One thing that we fail to understand with autocracies, with dictatorships, is that they don't care about the audience cost. They don't care about reputation, international reputation. They will continue to go in the muddy waters, regardless of whether the international community is watching them or not, regardless of the audience or domestic cost or not. They would continue to be as dirty as they are. Paul Biya is not running a democracy. He is running an autocracy, a dictatorship. For that reason, what is happening in neighboring Ambazonia, as nasty as it is, it doesn't pinch him in any way, as long as he knows that he is as corrupt as it could be to side with the international community to keep receiving his funds as he's been receiving funds from the EU, from China, from Asia, from whatever country, and recently from the African United States Summit. Look, Ambazonians, we are in a desperate situation, and this calls for desperate action. Desperate action has been well managed by the ADF and other defense forces on the ground. I do appreciate their efforts. But we should not be foolish enough to think that Paul Biya wants to talk about what? When I listened to Capo Daniel stating that Paul Biya on the 6th of this month, 2023, said he wants to talk with Ambazonia, I quickly went to the website of the presidency of La République du Cameroon to pull out a speech. And perhaps some of you have read this, the write-up I sent out. Paul Biya did not in any way mention Ambazonia. He clearly, from his opening paragraph, the opener of his speech was clear about a Ukraine-Russia conflict that affects the entire world and also affects developing economies. Now, Paul Biya went further to talk about other challenging global crises and global issues like terrorism, climate change, famine, and a couple of them. He did not mention Ambazonia, neither did he even insinuate Noso or Northwest, Southwest Cameroon. He did not. He did not even make as if there was any issue going on in Cameroon. In fact, he snubbed Cameroon in his speech addressed to the diplomatic corps. Then Capo Daniel went further to say, Paul Biya spoke about Ambazonia. He spoke about talks going on in Canada, as if gullible Ambazonians can't do research. A simple click will tell you that Capo Daniel is the biggest liar trying to hype up a thing.
Comrade Tapang, you make some very good points there. I was very concerned too, with the speech that most newspapers, these newspapers in La Republique, they carry news. Biya says dialogue, negotiation, key to ending politics, but he never outlined anything. That is why, when we look at Biya's modus operandi for the past 40 years, if you don't know him by now, if you stay with someone, you don't need to stay with someone for even a year to understand that person. You just need some few 1 to 3 months to understand somebody, right? Somebody's character. Bia is a hardcore person. Okay, hardcore. Remember what we learned from the beginning of the talk was that Diongute has initiated something that they want to explain to the people of Southern Cameroon the importance of the Grand National Dialogue and the special status and decentralization that was given to them. So it is not about trying to see or trying to negate what some of our leaders are doing in Canada, but we are looking at the other side of Bia's character, because he owns Cameroon, he owns La Republic, and it's the same ownership that he's trying to extend to Ambazonia, but we are telling him no. Okay, so what is at stake now is the pre-talk that we know. Okay, at the start, the aim of this initial pre-talk that people say is very secretive, I think is part of the process. Okay, secrecy is part of pre-talks or negotiation process. We don't doubt that. Okay, but what people want to know is for the parties to accept that yes, something is going on. Some of them have accepted. I think from some discussion, we have seen people who have vehemently explained that negotiation is going on in Canada, and it's good for us to wait and see the outcome or those due process that is trying to go on there. Okay. One of those people, the son, who is here. The son, can you elaborate more on what you mentioned?
I think number 4 thing is that I will not be naming because there are just so many. I will just be discussing and going. The next thing is that you said the Swiss-led process or initiative was internationally recognized or met international standard, and the Canadian is not an international standard. No.
Yes, but
if you said met Amazonian standard, I would have accepted.
Yes, I said it's internationally recognized because when a process starts, it starts with that. We understand it's pre-talk now. We understand it's pre-talk, but we have learned a lot from what happened in the past and from what happened to our parents and this struggle. This is how many years that we have been in this struggle. We have seen all the form of discouragement, the form of ways that La Republic has been using to put our people at loggerheads, the what they call divide and rule. We are trying to avoid that. We are trying to avoid a situation where La Republic will take advantage. They started the Grand National Dialogue, right? And they said that was a dialogue for them. When the international community is insisting on an internationally led process that has no precondition, so anybody can be skeptical about not being a due process or not a process. So, but I was very, very happy when you mentioned the aspect of the United Nations being involved.
But when you said meet international standard, and you say, let me tell you why, and you didn't define what international standards of an internationally mediated peace process is. You didn't list it. And this is one of...
Wait, international standard, I mean recognized by the international community, because we are not in... yes, I understand you said La Republique initiated the process. Good and fine. But what I'm saying is that it should be recognized by the United Nations, recognized by EU, recognized by African Union, recognized by even the regional bodies, that there's something going on in this crisis. And they can send envoys, right? So that is what we expect. Because we don't want to go into any paperwork, any written agreement. This is about two countries. We have to make that clear. This is not, I understand the Republic can initiate the dialogue, fine and good, okay? But what are we saying? Okay, those criteria must be met, okay? That aspect, we know the politics, the multilateral diplomacy that involved in any negotiation, right? That kind of negotiation that are seen as a learning process and a process that depends on the maturing of those various protagonists. We want to see something that is really happening, okay? I mean, that peaceful intercourse, interrelation between states, between sovereign states, because we are not going there as a northwest and southwest. That's why I want, when we talk of international something, our status is not special status. Should not be special status. The status that La Republic gave us, if they want to carry that same way, they have to first of all recognize us as Ambazonia. Okay? Nobody wants war. You know, we know of war is, you know, is considered as fighting, right? But we know fighting is going on, and there's still talking going on. Okay, they are all linked together. Okay, but we understand La Republic and Ambazonians too don't want to go there in the position of weakness. Okay, our own stance is about making sure that we are going there in the position of strength. La Republic too want to go there in the position of strength. That's why they don't. Bia cannot even announce to the people of La Republic that they are going to, because of the losses. Imagine the cost. So the cost is more on the people of La Republic on Bia than on us, because our soldiers are volunteers. Our volunteers, we don't pay them, but La Republic spend tons and tons of money. Most of the majority of the money that they spend in this crisis is coming from these high good prices, the commodity prices that you've seen the prices is gone up. So that is not our problem. Our problem is that they have to come to the table as equal parties. That is what I was talking about. Internationally recognized something that has two people coming together and they discuss as equal parties. We are not Norwest and Southwest. When we joined La Republic, we were not Norwest and Southwest. We were Southern Cameroon, independent country that came to that union. So that is how La Republic must recognize us. Because if not, then it will be very difficult for us to accept any negotiation process in that line. Okay? Go on.
The things that what I would like you to discuss and explain what an internationally mediated process standard is. If you were to put the Swiss-led process with the Canadian process actually meets the international standard, whereas the Swiss-led did not meet the international standard. And I will explain. Number one, you cannot talk of mediation. Mediation means, or reconciliation means, or dialogue. Mediation, dialogue, reconciliation is something between two people, two protagonists. Anything short of that is called a monologue, and that is why we call the grand dialogue in Yaoundé would call it a monologue because the Ambazonian side did not come.
Correct.
And so it was La République talking to itself. The Swiss-led initiative was an Ambazonian monologue because it was Ambazonian stayed there for 3 years. The other person did not come. They had no opportunity to discuss with anybody else except Ambazonians. And it ended only at the level of those pre-talks. And there were not even talks because what was happening in the Swiss thing was a training by HD of the Ambazonian Coalition Act, Team Act. And take note that the Coalition Team Act was not formed before going to Switzerland. They all met in Switzerland and formed Team Act. It's not like Team Act. When they initiated it, then they went and formed Team Act before going to Switzerland. No. Go and find out. They met in Switzerland before they say, hey, we are here. Let's speak with one voice. Let's form a team and speak with one voice. And then they formed Team Act. That's the same thing that happened in Canada. Canada is not in the space rank. They are speaking with one voice in Canada. They just have not given a name to it. And note that in Canada, everybody is not there. Not because they drew or pre-selected some people. No. Everybody was invited, including Comrade Chris and many other leaders, Sako, but they turned the invitation down and said they are not going. So it was not something that, and when they did not call Ambazonians to say, please, let's boycott this. So other leaders, including members of Team Act, went there. Akwanga is Team Act, and other people that were in Team Act are there in Canada, and plus new other persons that were invited. So they are there in Canada. So it's not something that it's a secretive group, and you say Swiss was not secretive. No, Swiss was even more secretive. I'm a member of the Restoration Council, and I remember when we always hold Comité hostage to say you must tell us what is going on with Swiss talk, because it was not open. We were not knowing what was happening.
Honorable son,
we are only 3 months into Canada.
Let me come here because you mentioned something. You mentioned something there that I want to clarify. Okay, the Swiss process was a very, very due process. When you said Canada has just been for just a few months, you cannot start comparing Canada with Switzerland negotiation. They are just different for now because Swiss process was having almost a year of preparation. I can say that because you mentioned secrecy. You understand? There's always secrecy in any negotiation. But when you say that, the negotiation is not about that, you cannot compare why Switzerland was more secretive than Canada. But that is what you said, right? You mentioned secrecy is the hallmark of every negotiation process. So now you are trying to argue the contrary between Swiss-led negotiation and but I want to mention this aspect of Switzerland negotiation was ongoing and La République had commitment. You said La République did not have. No, La République has signal. That is why they withdrew. You cannot withdraw for something that you are not engaged. Okay, and Switzerland cannot be for 3 years, like you mentioned, without La République's commitment. It was all about secrecy, we understand, but that did not mean that La République was not involved in the Swiss-led negotiation process. That is lie. That is why they withdrew. You cannot withdraw from a process where you are not involved in the process, right? La République withdrew from Swiss-led negotiation process. before moving to Canada. That is what happened. So La Republic knew that the process was so it was due process. You saw how the international community was engaged. You saw how even Canada was sponsoring, was financing most of the air tickets was sponsored by Canada, as we heard, right? These are what we call a process that we hope and we expect to see in Canada. So don't blame anybody of trying to question the validity and the mandate of those people who went to Canada. You mentioned Professor Anyangwe. Professor Anyangwe made a statement, right? But the statement was that they have started something, right? But there was not, and the leaders also said that they were coming to make a statement. Nothing happened that day. So don't also blame people for questioning what is going on in Canada, or for, at least people should know that yes, La Republique called for this talk. There is something going on. This is what at least gives people some heads up, because everything has its own drawback, right? We know during any initial stage of almost any war, there is a period when the states are unwilling to negotiate. We know that. Before, La Republique was very, very unwilling to negotiate. That is why they were not really committed in the Switzerland negotiation, because they did not sit one-on-one. But if you want to really talk about internationally led negotiation process, La Republique should come down to the high horse. They should come down. Until they come down, they will understand that our leaders are on par with their leaders. This is about two countries, because they are older, elderly people now. They think that they cannot sit with these young boys. It doesn't matter. When our people join you people, they had that mindset of equal status, two equal status. So it's not you giving us a special status. It doesn't work like that. That is why, more reason why all the money spent calling people there, it's a monologue. Honorable the son, I'm happy for you for that one. And most of the newspapers are taking this thing and putting Biya call for dialogue. Yes, people want to see the process. Okay, people want to see something going on. People want to feel that yes, there's something going on, because it affects the lives of millions and millions of people back home in Amazonia. Okay. So, the La Republique is expecting absolute victory. So they don't want to show like kind of open or to open to negotiation. That's why they think that if they do that, then they are showing sign of weakness. Okay, but of course we know that Amazonians are people. If Amazonians were to surrender for the past 6 years, they would have done that before. But if you see the people of Southern Cameroon, they still respect 100% Ghost Town. To tell Biya after his speech, they told Biya that our Ghost Town is a day of mourning. It's a symbol to our crisis. It's a symbol to the people of Southern Cameroon. Nobody can take Ghost Town away from the people of Southern Cameroon. No one. Yes, they have tried before, but immediately after Biya's speech, the Ghost Town was Mami Wata Ghost Town. Okay, but you mentioned something about those issues.
Number one, you talk of the seed-led negotiations.
Yeah.
I disagree with that no negotiation ever took place in Switzerland. We can call it a Swiss-led initiative. Good, it was an initiative. It never led to negotiation. No negotiation ever took place. No dialogue ever took place in Switzerland. No negotiation, no dialogue, because La Republique never for one day, even for 1 hour, 1 minute, came to Swiss to meet
Yeah, but
Amazonian team.
they committed. You know, when you
It
talk
never
of
happened like that.
honorable, you, but so why did they withdraw from the process if they were not engaged? You know, I understand that you are trying to say they were not there, but when you look at the way that it happened, they withdrew means that they gave some consent. I know the issue is that they did not sit with the leaders, but they gave consent. That is why giving consent means that they were engaged. Okay, even though they did not, they thought that they would win the war along the years. That is why they thought that they would win the war militarily. They did not engage in it. But to say that there was no talk in Canada, I don't see that as really honest, because pre-negotiation begins when one or more parties consider negotiation as a policy option and communicate this intention to the other parties. Okay, so if you say there were no pre-talk or pre-negotiation or anything I don't think so, because the government of Switzerland was involved, Canada was involved, the international community was involved, EU was involved. So you saying that this talk was not internationally recognized, I don't buy that idea, because you are trying to put Canada like up there and put Switzerland down there, when you yourself know that anything that starts without clear options, without clear grounds, it's not really clear to the people of Southern Cameroon. Okay, we know that there is no lifespan of any negotiation. Okay, we want to see that involvement, those processes from the leaders. We don't want to know what they are talking about for at the moment, but to tell the people that yes, some pre-negotiation is going on. Okay, some pre-negotiation is going on, and that is what the people of Southern Cameroon want. Okay.
Number two thing is that you said the Swiss initiative was an initiative. It was initiated by the Swiss. No. Sarko boasted that he initiated the Swiss. Even Comrade Chris boasted also that he brought the Swiss process to Sarko. Therefore, the Swiss process was Amazonian initiated, not Swiss initiated, not La Republique initiated, and which is right. Among the two belligerents, any of them can initiate a peace initiative. It can initiate a peace process and invite the other one.
Yeah, you're right.
Mostly the state actor is on the annals of the state actor to initiate the peace. That's why the international community kept calling on La Republique to initiate a peace process. Take note of that. That lead me to number 3 issue. That you say because La Republique initiated the Canadian process, it is an imposition. No, that's wrong. Go and check other peace processes. If the state actor initiates it, it doesn't mean that they are coming there to impose. We are not in the 1960s where somebody can come and impose. Even in the 1960s, the Funchers argued. And that's why they were able to have articles that say the form of the state shall never be considered. it will be inadmissible for them to consider changing the form of the state. So there's nothing like imposition because somebody initiated. Okay, if that's the case, then you are saying that because Amazonian initiated the Swiss process, it was an attempt by Amazonia to impose on La Republique? No. So the fact that somebody initiates it means that he's coming to impose it is wrong.
Yes, Honorable, I agree with you in that other point, but I just want to thank you for those points that you made, and we all know sometimes negotiations can prevent hostility from getting worse. You know, we know it helps, like what we look at ceasefire and all those. We also know of secrecy. We also know of private diplomacy between heads of states. Okay, all these are forms of negotiation process that we are looking at. But as we know of now, this process, if La Republic does not negotiate now, the cost of the war is on them. So the economic sabotage, the economic crisis, the cost of the war, the psychological effect, the change of governance in La Republic is a triple effect on their psyche. So we are looking at those other forces, those calculation about the cost. So Amazonians don't spend much for this crisis. The volunteers are self-volunteers. They are self-defense volunteers. But the Republic must pay their military, must spend a lot of money each month for the feeding, for the sponsorship, for the fuel gases. Look, let me divert a little bit. This crisis is a crisis of fuel. It's a fuel crisis. La Republique cannot imagine himself or herself leaving Amazonia, all the oil that they are draining from the pool of southern Cameroon, all these resources. La Republique cannot imagine, because now there's fuel crisis in La Republique. They have fuel shortages, and when you see that happening, you understand why they have fuel shortages. Even the people of southern Cameroon don't have fuel because the pipeline has been tapped from Limbe direct to Douala. So even the people of southern Cameroon don't enjoy the benefit of the oil. But don't forget, they are not killing you people. They are not doing all this to you people. This mistreatment, the suppression, this imperialist policy is not about La Republique's sovereignty or they love you people, they want. It's about the oil. It's about the oil. So whatever you are doing, whatever you're fighting, know that they are fighting you people for your resources. So if you want to stay in this kind of situation, this kind of bondage, you want to stay in this kind of situation where you don't have any say, your resources is being swindled. You saw the corrupt scheme, how La Republic government is selling cheap resources, is selling our resources very cheap to countries abroad, just to sponsor the war. That is what we're talking about, cost. Okay, that is what we're talking about, cost. The willingness to negotiate. Okay, sometimes it conveys weakness. Sometimes, but of course, if you know that the cost, okay, the cost of the war is on your people, is on you. You start looking at way to negotiate, because the other party is not willing to back down anytime soon. The people of Southern Cameroon don't see themselves. You know, the way the crisis is, the people of Southern Cameroon don't even have any issue. Okay, they don't have any issue being like that for the next 5-10 years. Okay, they don't care about the crisis staying like that. So whatever like public want to do, whatever they feel, whenever they feel as to negotiate or start a pre-negotiation process, that is on them. Okay, our people are ready, our leaders are willing to sit down. You saw it right from the Swiss-led process. So that is it, and we hope that whatever comes out from Canada will be something positive. Okay, all along with the other issues mentioned above, I will propose initial suggestion about early mediation to give way to dialogue. It means these opportunities that we have will not, maybe tomorrow there will not be opportunities for that. So any reduction of tension between us and the Republic can only start from some discussion somehow, because at the end of the day, any crisis, any war, any conflicts always end with some form of negotiation. So even if it takes 10 years for the Republic to say, okay, it's time to end the crisis, it will still end on negotiation table. So why not start something now? Why not commit to something really, really fruitful? Okay? Because no matter what happens, the end point is negotiation. And the people of Southern Cameroon will be willing to sit down and talk. Okay? Willing to sit down and talk. And the talk is on equal status. It's not about La Republic standing on their high horse and giving commands. The leaders of La Republic must come down to their high horse. Okay? So that is it. And we hope for something better to come out from Canada. We are still keeping our hand crossed and hope that it will be a fruitful discussions. Then the people of Southern Cameroon will give their blessing. That is what we want.
And double road dancers.
Children, God is with us. You must see that we are progressing on your sweat. You should not be progressing on someone's sweat. Why she or he will stay behind weeping?
Swim left and right dancer.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
Oh, don't progress on someone's